Hey everyone, and welcome to the webinar. Happy December. This is our last one of the year, and I'm super excited that you all could be here today. So thank you for joining us. I cannot wait to dive into what we have for you today. It's a unique topic. It sort of combines a lot of different elements that we've discussed before, but in a different way. So we have a really good event planned. Can't wait to get started. Let's give a couple more folks a couple minutes to jump on. I know if they're anything like me, they probably have back-to-back calls all day long. And once one goes long, it's like dominoes the rest of the day. So for folks, if you have already joined, we'll go ahead and get started shortly. As more people continue to join on, what I would love for us to do now is try to test out our GoToWebinar feature. There's something called a question box that's over to the side, and this is within the GoToWebinar panel. That question box is essentially going to be your chat feature for today. So you'll be able to see all of the responses, we'll be able to see all of the responses that you put into that question box. You won't necessarily be able to chat with other participants, but it will be your chat feature and that you can send us your questions for the day. So to get us all started, let's type into the question box and say hello. And this is one of my favorite things. Let me know where you're calling in from today. I really love seeing all of the different places where everyone is joining. One of the cool things about our webinars is that they connect people from all different corners of the world, all different backgrounds, and we're all here for just one common goal, and that's to improve our marketing. So I love to be able to see all the different places that people are coming in from. So I'll call out some responses as they come in. Like I said, I'd love to get a feel for where everybody is. So for example, I am calling in from Louisiana. I'm based out of North Louisiana. I'm born and raised here. So let's see where some of you are calling in from. All right, I see Ohio, Athens, Georgia. I love it. Central Florida, Palm Springs, Oregon. We've got Delaware, Tampa, nice, Indiana, Michigan. We've got some Canadian friends on today. I always love that. Michigan, Virginia, Macedonia. I think that might be the winner for today. We've got some more Florida folks. I love this commitment from Florida. Cali, we have Virginia, DC. I love it. Brooklyn, but we're based out of Florida. This is awesome. I love, love, love it. Tons of folks are typing in. I see it out of the corner of my eye. It just keeps scrolling. So I'd love to call everybody out and do an old school shout out. But if you notice, we have people from all over the place. And again, it's just really, really cool. We're all here for one goal, and that's to show up for our marketing. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to kick off today's webinar with a couple of housekeeping items. So for everyone on the call today, note that this is going to be recorded. Today's session is going to be recorded for you, so you don't have to worry about taking notes. You can sort of sit back and retain any information, and again, use that question box to put in any questions that you have. You'll get the materials from today in your inbox soon after, and that includes a copy of the slides and the recording. I jumped ahead a little bit. All right, so please note all of the webinar recordings can also be found on WordStream and LocalIQ YouTube channels. So if you just navigate to YouTube, type in LocalIQ or WordStream, and then click on one of our channels, you'll be able to see all of our past webinar recordings right there. So if you want to catch up on anything that we have done in the past, or maybe you want to view this one again, you can find it there later on. Also, the reason that we have you all practice using the question box is because I want you to feel really comfortable typing your questions in throughout the webinar. Be sure to stick around because we're going to use your questions as part of our live Q&A session at the end. And if you've attended any of our webinars in the past, you know our Q&A sessions are just a really cool experience. It's a neat way to engage virtually. It sort of feels like it's a one-on-one experience. So save any questions that you have for the end. All right, so before we go any further, I want to get us all on the same page of who exactly LocalIQ is. So some of you might be familiar with LocalIQ because you're already working with us, and we love that. And then some of you might be totally new, and that's fine too. Some of you might have joined us because you are familiar with us through our thought leadership brand, WordStream by Local IQ. So how does that all fit together? Well, Local IQ is a fully integrated growth marketing platform that marries innovative tech that you can't find anywhere else and unparalleled expertise. And we are a service to give your business what it needs to thrive and prosper. So how exactly do we do all of that? Well, first, technology is at our core. Our platform runs on optimization technology and AI that's informed by data from 1 million+ Local IQ campaigns. So you truly can't find it anywhere else. We have all the tools that you need in one place. So we give you everything at your fingertips to make the daily task of marketing faster. So this puts time back into your day, which I'm sure we all need, so you can focus on managing your business or managing your team rather than focusing your attention on the details that marketing requires. And then finally, we have been in the marketing game for over 15 years. So which, if you think about the age of digital marketing, is really not much older than that. So we have been through it all of the ups and downs and shifts in the landscapes and the platforms. And we are here to tell that story to the benefit of your business. So one thing that we're really proud of is that we are a premier partner with all major advertising platforms. And this isn't something that they just hand out to everybody. So it's really only given to businesses that display clear campaign success for their customers, display thought leadership within the field, and meet a rigorous set of requirements for each of those platforms. And then a little bit about me. I am going to be your webinar host and facilitator for the day. My name is Katie. Here at Local IQ, I work closely with our teams on our digital marketing teams for the last 10 years in one capacity or another. I equip our sales teams, agencies, individual business owners with whatever they need to succeed. And if you couldn't tell by my accent, I'm located in the southern US in Louisiana, but I always tell people it's not the fun part of Louisiana. I'm not in New Orleans. I'm about 5 hours north, but I still love it here. All right, so before we dive in, just a last couple of housekeeping items that I want to mention. This is around a common question that we get with our webinars, which is where can we learn more about the topics that we cover here? I'm not going to lie, this hour is going to fly by. So if you ever feel like you need more time to sit with any of the topics that we cover today, or anything that we cover in previous webinars, I highly recommend that you navigate to Local IQ or our WordStream websites. We cover everything in these webinars in depth over there on our blogs, as well as on our social media sites, so be sure to follow us. We send out notifications for future events, so if you want to join more webinars like this in the future, definitely be sure to follow us and turn on your post notifications. We also share out platform updates, interesting articles, and all sorts of good information that business owners and advertisers should be aware of. So you can find Local IQ on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube. And you can find WordStream on LinkedIn, X, Facebook, and YouTube. All right, let's get started. So if you've attended any of our webinars in the past, you know that we love to keep listeners on their toes. So to warm you up to the topic today, I'm going to hit you up with a quick pop quiz. I want you to type into that question box and let me know, what marketing channels do you plan to invest in for 2025? And I'll call out some of the responses as they come in. But we know that there are many, many marketing channels. These are the various places that you can advertise, and we'll get into more detail on those later on in the presentation. But where do you plan on putting your marketing budget for the year? What's worked in the past? What haven't you tried that maybe you want to try next? There's Facebook and Instagram. Maybe all you've done is unpaid options, and so now we want to look at some paid. So those are just the sort of things that I'm sure everybody's been thinking about as you get ready for 2025. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, I see Google Ads. That's the behemoth. Pretty much everybody's going to be spending money on search, and it's going to end up on Google, Facebook, Instagram, additional search engine marketing. I love that. Bing, Yahoo, etc. I love that. We have seen really great results in diversifying the search platforms that our customers run on. LinkedIn, Facebook, TV commercials. I love some nice traditional media, and streaming TV. That's always awesome to be able to see that come through. and to be able to expand any of your video ads into that. More focus on social media, such as TikTok, to engage a younger demographic. That's awesome. You know your audience, you know where they are, and so you're going to look at going after them. And we've got some great info on how to utilize that. YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, awesome. I see tons of responses, a lot of the same things, some different ones. I wish I could call out everybody. You probably noticed that a few of you guys have the same answers, but most everyone is going to have a slightly different reason for choosing those because everybody has a slightly different perspective. And that's because each platform is unique and each of your needs is unique. So that just means that each of your businesses is going to have a different perspective of what our topic is today and how it applies. And so that's a great thing for you to sit back, process the information today, put your questions in the box, and see how you can apply anything that you hear or learn today to the success of your business. All right, so a little preview of what we're going to go over. We're going to talk about what is always on marketing. Feels a little self-explanatory in the title, but there's some specifics that I think are going to be really interesting for you. And then we're going to look at your customer's journey. Why always on is really important and what you need to do to expand your business. And then we're going to get really practical. I'm a very practical person, so I love giving out tricks and tips that you can take all of the info that we give and make it mean something in real life for your business. And then we're going to get into that live Q&A. All right, first up, the problem with digital marketing. What is the problem with digital marketing? Well, I think we all feel it in the chaos of the day. It is a very fragmented landscape for digital marketing. None of this is probably new information for you guys. What I mean by that is that there are dozens, if not hundreds, of places for your customers where they could be, and that could be part of their buying journey. Think about yourself and your own personal use of social media or just the digital landscape. It's usually a hectic and chaotic feeling space. And you as a business owner are probably asking yourself a lot of questions, like what publishers should I be spending money on? How much budget do I allocate to each? If I'm going to expand to new channels, that means I need to expand where the budget goes. And then when's the right time to get in front of my customers? So the landscape that we have has evolved. This isn't how it always is. A lot of us can remember what it was like in the beginning where it was just search in Facebook and that's what you did. But because it's grown and evolved and we have a very fractured landscape at this point, you need to make sure that you're everywhere, meeting those highly targeted users that we already know are your ideal customers. So marketing in general is often thought of as something that's seasonal or campaign-based, meaning it's a one-off if you have a special event or a product, but it shouldn't necessarily be that way. As we saw on the previous slide, consumers are all over the place online at various times and decision points in their purchase journey. Again, think about yourself. Think about all of the interactions that you have as a consumer throughout the day. And so to be considered when they're ready to make a decision, you and your business need to be there in the other places before they make those decisions. So this is where the concept of always on comes into play. By definition, always on marketing is a form of marketing where you're constantly running campaigns to ensure you have an online presence and you're getting in front of your target audience throughout the year. So unlike seasonal or topical marketing, like a special event or a product promotion, your always on marketing is simply always on. It never stops. You have a constant presence. And because it's constantly running across various marketing channels, it's often more general, meaning the messaging and the things that you're going to say and ask users to do are going to be a lot more general than if you were doing a single campaign during your busy season or preparing for a busy season. So your always on marketing message may be focused more on the benefits of working for your business versus a specific promotion or the benefits of a product type. So for example, if your business has a busy season, you likely run campaigns during that rush or maybe a little bit before that rush to catch people as they're planning. But an always on marketing strategy means you're going to promote your business beyond just that seasonal campaign and continue to stay in front of your customers and keep them engaged up until your next busy period or the next seasonal time. So if you take a glance at the gray side of the screen, some of these may look really familiar to you. We recently published the results of our first ever small business survey, and we had over 730 businesses respond, and they had their most common struggles. We were trying to collect what's it like for a business owner out there right now. And a lot of these common pain points that we saw are alleviated through the benefits of always on marketing. So let's take a look. First, struggling to stay visible in a crowded market. Who out there has a very competitive industry that they're in? You understand this pain. Well, being always on means you're discoverable 24/7. So this is going to boost sales. It's going to spark word of mouth and fuel constant engagement because you're continually in front of that audience and you're able to make noise to rise above all of the other noise. What about sales teams spending too much time explaining? Or you're following up on cold leads and you have a long, lengthy sales cycle. For always on marketing, this means that your prospects are already primed. Your ongoing brand exposure is going to warm them up and accelerate sales, making it easier for your team in the long run. Then constantly guessing at your marketing strategy. Who here among us has not said, am I doing the right thing with my marketing? Well, constant campaigns mean better data. And this means that you have better insight and you can make better decisions. If you see engagement declining, I'm sure some of you out there have felt that. Your potential customers have always have a way of stumbling across your content or your site if you're doing an always on approach. So there's no lull or dip. And if there is, then you're able to look at that data because you have the information and make changes based off of that. And then campaigns are always losing momentum. Well, if you are doing an always on strategy, you're likely using some sort of machine learning that is automatically going to improve the campaigns on platforms like Google Ads and Facebook Ads, or if you use a partner like Local IQ. And so over time, it learns and will perform better for you. So how does this concept of always on function in order to bring continuous improvement? It starts first with the platforms where you're present. This is where the audience data and your own engagement data is collected. Then that data converts into insights that are going to fuel your decisions. We talked about it just a second ago. The more data you have, the better decisions you can make. So you can see what platforms are collecting the most information, where you have the most audience, or where you have the most flexibility to target your core audience. And then based on that info, you can determine which channels to then focus on. So if you should deploy email marketing versus social, or maybe you need to run ads versus just organic. This continual stream of presence is going to provide a robust data set so you can make better decisions. Then you can take all those insights and then feed them into your always on strategy and create this unified experience for your brand whenever or wherever your customers are finding you. So this raises recognition, and that's going to increase the chances of a user choosing your business when they're ready to buy. All right, a key piece of an always on strategy is something called brand awareness. This is the type of marketing activities where you are utilizing word of mouth or a social media activity, display or retargeting. These are the things like your listings profile. It's a way where you're not necessarily asking your consumer to make a decision at that point, but you're there and you're providing information and you're creating a tone for your brand, and that ultimately is going to impact decisions. And we can see that from the stats here. 25% of people conduct a search for a business after seeing a display ad. So they saw something that was maybe brand awareness, and then they went and searched them in order to make a decision. And then 82% of people click on search results from brands they're familiar with. And businesses see a 59% lift in conversions when users conduct a search related to a display ad that they've seen. So clearly, being always on increases your brand awareness, which increases the chance of converting these users into loyal customers. So here I want to emphasize the amount of daily activity going on over a prolonged period of time for consumers. We talked about the journey and that fragmented landscape. This is just another way to view that. So imagine that this is a member of your ideal audience. And each day she's experiencing multiple exposures to online influences. So she's seeing ads in various places. We couldn't even possibly fit all of the different things into one day that she's probably running up against because we experience it in our own lives. So, but for the sake of an example, imagine she receives an email about your business on day one. Then a few days later, she sees a post on Facebook. Then a few days after that, she sees an ad on YouTube. Then you fast forward and she sees another ad on Hulu. So within those first few days, she may not be ready to purchase, but along the way, with the repetition and the continual impression of your business, she is going to be reminded, and that's where the benefits come in. So the other thing to consider is your competitors are likely doing the same thing, and we'll show you some stats in a little while to talk about that. So in this instance, you are sprinkled in there throughout the way. You're not left out of the story. And if you're not there, you're going to miss out on those opportunities to influence her decision. All right, fact or myth? Always on marketing means higher cost. So you hear always on, you're constantly advertising. Is it true that it's going to automatically cost you more? Not necessarily. Always on marketing doesn't have to mean that you have a higher cost. With the right planning, it can be a really effective budgeting strategy. So you're not necessarily going to break the bank. With a seasonal campaign or something like sporadic marketing, you're experiencing that loss of momentum. You have really time-consuming manual adjustments, and you're missing out on all of those advanced optimization tools that make your campaigns perform better. So you are probably having this inconsistent consumer acquisition, meaning you're like starting and stopping. It goes in spurts, whether you're able to get in any new leads. So with an always on marketing plan, instead of investing a large chunk in a short-term campaign, you're spreading that budget more evenly across different channels and then reaping the benefits that we talked about just a little while ago. So this is going to give you a much better overall return on your budget. For example, we mentioned missing out on optimization tools when you're doing short-term marketing. And that's when you're doing things based on just one or two channels. The opposite approach is a longer-term strategy across multiple advertising channels, and you fuel that through AI. So direct publishers have various versions of some sort of optimization directly on their platform. But for example, local IQ customers, this looks like our combined solutions fueled by what we call XMO, or cross-media optimization. So whether your goal is brand awareness or strictly lead gen, our platform is going to combine the most effective solutions for your goal, like you can see it here: Facebook, display, Instagram, email. And then it's going to spread your budget to the channels that are going to get you the most leads, or it's going to move the budget where you're going to get the most engagement. So that's how you're able to be more effective with the money that you have. And so these are the strategies that are going to be a better long-term approach. So now that we have the benefits always on, we're all on the same page and have a foundation of what it means. Now let's talk about actually planning out the strategy. Like I said, I'm a practical kind of girl. So first up, you need to determine what you'll be able to invest. So for new companies, a general rule of thumb, every company is different, but generally 12 to 20% of your gross revenue should be allocated to marketing. And if you're a more established firm, that looks more like 6 to 12%. So what exactly is the money going towards? Immediately, you're thinking of the ad itself, the ad budget. But although that's really a significant piece of it, that's not the only part of the budget that you need to think of. So there's other places that that money goes to, and that includes the creatives, the team and the talent, the people that are doing the creative. Do you have an internal team that supports this, or do you look externally for a partner? And these are good questions to ask yourself as you're thinking through for the next year. If you want to expand your business and look at these new channels, do you have the support internally to do that, or do you need to look for a partner? Also, tools and services. This is another budgeting item. This includes running the ads, creating the ads, measuring success, the reporting interfaces. But something that is often forgotten is the budgeting of time. We talk a lot about the budgeting of our dollars, but you want to make sure that you're also budgeting you or your team's time. And so for the sake of comparison, you can see the results from our small business survey. This is one of the examples of results that we got back, and where other businesses like yours are spending their marketing time. So the majority, about 53% of SMBs surveyed, spend between 1 to 10 hours a week on marketing. So in our survey results, this rate was higher for small businesses with 10 or fewer employees, and then lower with those that have 50 or more employees, which makes sense. That's because SMBs with fewer employees and smaller marketing budgets tend to have fewer or no employees dedicated solely to marketing. And so their day-to-day schedules are spread across a range of activities that may include marketing. We all know the feeling of wearing multiple hats, and that's what this sort of situation is explaining. So this is where third-party tools that help with campaign management or budget optimization are going to be your best friend if this is you. We talked about Local IQ's XMO technology that powers a couple of different solution groups to generate leads or to raise your brand's awareness. What's important is being able to efficiently move budget to the platforms with the best engagement. This is what's going to help make the most of every dollar that you're spending and simplify the hours spent working on marketing. All right, next up is time to assess your current business situation. And by that, we mean your current position and your goals. So where are you now? Where do you want to be in the future? This is the perfect time for a good old-fashioned SWOT analysis. And for those of you who did not have to suffer through any sort of business course, this means strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats. So your classic SWOT analysis is going to help you look at things your company does well, qualities that are going to separate you from your competitors, internal resources, things your company lacks, things your competitors are maybe doing better, underserved markets for specific products, or what other competitors are in your area. It'll help you take a look at all of those things. So then when you take a look at your goals, your marketing goals should be SMART. That's another acronym. Business people love acronyms. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time specific. You're going to want to match your goals to your channel strengths. So for example, you might already have a good social media presence. So that would be a strength. So an example of matching it with a SMART marketing goal would be something like increase social media traffic to your website by 5% in 6 months. You can measure that, it's attainable, it's time specific, and those are the sort of goals that are going to push your business and expand what you're able to do. Third, identify your target audience. Some of you have probably already done this. Oftentimes, the audience that you're targeting is going to dictate the best strategies to use as part of your marketing plan. So when you're thinking through your always on plan, identifying your audience is what's going to be key, because you can also think about expanding your audience and where they might be. So a few questions to start with. Where do your customers spend time online? You can see here this graphic. Every minute of the day, you can see where people are on social during the day. There's a multitude of different sites and amount of time that's spent on there. How are your current customers finding you? Are they using any one of these platforms more than others? Who else would you want to reach? Where else are they and where can you be? And then what do your competitors' customers look like? That's a great way for you to look at what your target audience could be. And then step 4 is to choose your relevant channels. So here we have an image that shows the various digital channels that are available for consumers and businesses. And this probably isn't even all of them. There's probably a ton more. It's important for you to take the audience analysis that you did previously and then determine where they are, then choose the channels based off of that. So since always on is long-term focused, you can select a mix of digital channels like social media, email marketing, paid advertising, website content, and then potentially look at offline channels, traditional media based on your audience. So things like print ads or mailers. So think back to your journey slide where our ideal customer was going to various online places throughout the month, and think about where your audience would be going. Now, if the concept of marketing channels is new to you, or you were looking at that graphic a second ago and maybe didn't recognize some of them, or it just made you go cross-eyed, you're not alone. We're probably all there. So marketing channels are just the various places where you promote your business and or you communicate with your audience, and it can be online or offline. So for example, a potential customer could see a print ad and navigate online to learn more. So from there, they might search for your business on Google, see a video about your brand on YouTube, or find your business on social media. That's all part of what we call a multi-channel marketing strategy, and that ensures that you catch every potential customer within your sales funnel. And in fact, brands using 3 or more marketing channels are likely to see a 287% higher conversion rate because they're just showing up in more places. So some free channels that include local SEO, local listings, any sort of online reputation management, organic social media. So that means any post that you put on your social pages and you're not paying to boost them or paying for an ad. Word of mouth, networking and partnerships, and then any sort of event marketing. Then some paid efforts include social media advertising. So those are the ads that show up in Facebook feeds or Instagram feeds. Traditional search advertising, display ads, OTT, that means over the top. So those are typically ads that come over on streaming sites like Hulu or Netflix. You could look at affiliate marketing or influencer marketing. Micro influencers or local influencers are gaining in popularity and can be really effective. And then just some bonus, email marketing, mobile marketing, or maybe you look at audio and podcast ads as well. So there's a lot of different options for you to think through of where your audience is and what makes sense for your business. So obviously there are a lot of choices. It can be a bit overwhelming, especially when over 70% of businesses are satisfied with all of these channels. So this is another excerpt from our small business survey. And people were satisfied with search, they were satisfied with video marketing, content marketing, social media ads, display, SEO, and reputation management. So what this signals to us is that your competitors are probably already running an always-on strategy, or they plan to for 2025. And then according to our marketing trends report, many are already running the strategy, so 70% plan to in 2025, or over half of small businesses plan to invest in both social media ads and content marketing for next year. So almost half of small businesses plan on increasing their marketing budgets next year. 71% of those businesses are going to increase their budgets because they want more leads and they want more sales. So if any of this sounds familiar, then it means that you're on the right track, and your competitors are thinking the same thing, that you need to be in more places to get in front of more people. So this is also the point in creating your always-on marketing plan, that you may want to decide whether or not you want to outsource yours with a marketing partner. So we talked about the time budgeting, the limited time, maybe internal resources. When it comes to managing your marketing, you don't have to do it all. The publishers have done a fantastic job of creating direct platforms where you can run advertising. But as you start showing up in multiple places and trying to manage each of those campaigns, it can be a lot to take on if you haven't staffed correctly, or maybe just don't have the time. You're busy doing other things. So businesses are leveraging marketing partners to alleviate that hard work, and it just takes a lot to make marketing really great. So outsourcing your marketing may require a little more money, but in the long run, it'll save you time and it's going to deliver you better results. So let's go over the things to remember when you're approaching that always-on strategy. First is budget allocation. We talked about ensuring that your budget is distributed effectively across different channels and marketing activities throughout the year, not just that busy season. And then brand consistency. You want to maintain a consistent brand voice and visual identity across all of your platforms. And what's helpful for that is we are in a mindless scroll world. We are all guilty of it. And so by maintaining brand consistency, when your ad shows up, the person doesn't even have to read the ad. They can see the logo, they can see the colors, they can see the way everything looks, and then know that that's your company. It's a great trigger and a great way to stand out. And then adaptability. Be prepared to adjust your strategy as marketing trends and customer needs evolve. Everything changes always. It's my least favorite thing, but it's time to be prepared for those things because maybe your audience is going to mature. Maybe they're going to go to a different platform. Maybe you'll release a service that you need to go to a different channel in order to reach that audience. It's just important to be flexible. It's not a set it and forget it type of deal. And then cross-channel integration. We've talked about this a ton. Coordinate your marketing efforts across different channels to create a cohesive customer experience. So we talked about brand consistency with your visual identity. It's the same thing when you're presenting ads or your business is present across multiple channels. You want to make sure you sound the same, you look the same, and that they have the same experience, that when they click on your ad or they engage with you, they're all hearing the same voice and having the same interactions. All right, so now for the practical stuff, ideas and tips for your always on strategy. And we're going to look at this in terms of the marketing funnel. So while always on marketing is often a little more general than a topical or a seasonal effort, it doesn't mean it needs to be boring. You can still have fun. So instead, it's important that you craft always on marketing material that speaks to each of your marketing funnel stages. And we call these stages awareness, consideration, decision, and then loyalty is about retention. So the awareness stage, top of funnel. These are marketing efforts that should attract your audience that's vaguely aware of their problem, or maybe they're not aware of it at all. And then you want to drive them deeper into the subject. So this is an example of an awareness post by a public utilities company. So a top of funnel blog post that speaks to a high level problem. So if you live in a northern state and you're trying to winter prep, this is a great idea for a few weeks ago to get people's mind thinking about those kinds of things. And if you have a solution that you're selling that's part of this checklist, even better. So we also give you an idea of high-level downloads, things like an infographic or a checklist. So you can also promote that via your paid search or social. And these are going to be higher level pieces. Again, that's why they're awareness. So they should be very similar to something like a blog counterpart, and that its focus is more on familiarizing the audience with the issue. And if you're looking for different solutions that would support this, targeted email marketing is a great option, and that's a great way to narrow down your audience and really hone in on who you're trying to reach. And then we have a solution called brand amplification that's really good for a brand awareness stage incentive, because it leans in on channels that are perfect for brand awareness. Next up is consideration. You'll need to create an always-on marketing for the consideration stage of the buyer journey that helps your audience decide on the solution. So while they're not necessarily going to get your product specifics, that's coming, you're going to help give them information that's going to sway their decision. So this includes case studies, like this example here is a video testimonial that looks at how you've helped a client, or you're including real world results or quotes from different customers. You can also look at original research. This is something that is going to be a little more time consuming and costly, but it's a really effective form of always on marketing. You can also look at, instead of driving general awareness around a problem, you can focus on more long tail keywords and speak to in-depth problems that you can solve. So things like product comparison guides or graphics, these are always ideal for always on efforts, and it's really good for a page and lead generation campaign So you can speak to those ad creatives and then you can get those form fills. So this is really beneficial if you're going to repurpose that content, because you can use it in paid efforts for things like videos on YouTube, YouTube ads, or even your display ads. All right, now it's time to seal the deal with your always on marketing tactics that help customers make a final decision. These strategies can be more salesy and they focus heavily on your product. So this is where you want to get into your product specific, how you can help and how you've helped others. So recorded product demos are a great way to do always on marketing. You can see this example here is of a user using an iBack. So make sure the demos close with an offer or a demo CTA, and then you can house them on a landing page that you can promote year-round with an ad. So these resources are not just one-offs. They can live for forever and help support that always-on strategy. You can craft ads that speak to your product and then lead to a demo-oriented landing page. This goes back to that consistency across channels. Landing pages should offer an in-depth look at your product, offer real-world results, and then close with a demo or a consult call to action. And then tools and tests are really engaging, and they're a fun way to get your audience interested in what you're doing. So think about a tool or a test that would help people decide if they have the right product or solution in you. And then you can close with a CTA that leads right to a product suggestion or a demo follow-up. Again, repurposing all of this for social, display, and video ads. All right, that was a ton of information. Let's sum it up. If I could sum it up in just 3 different things, this is where we would land. 1, you really need to take a look at your consumer's journey. So define the channels where your current audience is spending time and where new customers are in the digital landscape. How can you create a cohesive customer experience? And then adaptability is key. Think about experiments with different approaches, creatives, targeting to optimize results. Go back, measure those results, look at what the data says, and then tweak it and try something different next time. And then reflect on your resources. Look at automation tools or partnerships like with Local IQ that help save time. They can utilize data that you collect for your growth and effectively spread your budget for long-term success. You don't have to do it on your own. You have resources, free and paid, at your disposal. All right, so at this time, we're going to go into our Q&A section. And so right now you'll see a poll come up on your screen, and that's going to stay there for the duration of the event. And so this is where we go into like the audio portion of the Q&A. So if you have been saving up your questions, go ahead and get them into the question box now. I see a bunch coming in, so I'll answer those in just a second. But if you are ready to have a more one-on-one conversation to get into the specifics of your business, click that poll right there, click yes, and you'll be able to speak with an expert and they can talk to all of the specifics and work through an assessment strategy based on your business. But now, like I said, this will stay up for the rest of the time, but now we can go into Q&A and we'll start working through some of our questions. And so let's take a look at what we've got. And just again, a note for everybody, this is recorded and the slides will be shared out. I know we flew through content pretty quickly. So if you have any additional topics that you want to really sit with or research more, we are going to provide the slides and the recording, and then you'll be able to research more on Local IQ or wordstream.com on all of our blogs. We cover everything that we talk about here on there. And so go ahead and put your questions in if you haven't already, and we'll go ahead and start diving in. So one person asked, how do you determine the best channels to use? So I think what you're trying to do there is you start with your audience and know who they are and where they are. And so we have a lot of resources that help you determine, you know, are they older? Are they younger? Are they young families? Are they grandparents? Are they singles? You know, is it everywhere in between? Are they homeowners? Are they renters? And then you're able to really dial in on where you need to be. because maybe paid social works for you, or maybe just paid organic and you do paid search, or organic social and then you do paid search. So those are the kind of determinations that you can figure out where you actually need to be. I would say you don't necessarily have to just boil the ocean and get on every single channel immediately. Start small, pick a couple of channels that make sense for your audience, and then look at what a long-term strategy looks like on those channels. If you have a busy season, you know you're going to want to focus all your messaging on getting people to take action during that busy season. The rest of the time, you can be putting out customer testimonials, videos, product demos, service demos. If you're a home services company, maybe you do a video about the importance of cleaning your gutters or something along those lines. And so that's the type of content that can then fill the rest of the space. So you're constantly in front of people, but maybe you're not hitting them as hard up for a CTA. All right. Let's see. I see a lot of questions about budgets and budget estimation, especially for limited time services. So like I said earlier, we had the that rule of thumb, whether if you're a new business or an established business. But you're right, budget is tricky because there are a lot of different factors that need to be taken into consideration. Vertical and type of business, like the industry that you're in, is one of them, time of year. What I would highly suggest doing is answering yes to that poll, because one of our experts can help run a budget analysis tool. And so this looks at your competitors. It compares your site against various competitors, but then it also looks at what solutions and what budget you would need to allocate based on certain goals that you put in. And then it also gives you 3 different budgeting options. Maybe you're not able to go in and put in the highest, most prominent budgeting option. There's other things there that you can still do. And so some of our experts can talk you through that and be able to determine. I think what's also helpful are free resources like benchmarks. We produce and we publish search benchmarks and social ads benchmarks every year. And you can find those on our blogs. And you can see what the general cost is for click-through, impression, leads. And that can help you then make a decision around, you know, how many calls do you want to increase to? How many leads can you handle in a month? And then you can determine the budget based off of that. Let's see. So I see a couple of questions around traditional advertising. So print or magazine. And yes, it can be very pricey. And I think that there is absolutely still a place for those traditional forms of advertising. I think, again, you look at it the same way that you would the rest of your strategy, whether it's digital or you're going to go more traditional. You just look at when you would do it, when it makes the most sense, when is that audience going to be most available. And I think what you can do is, as you're creating the ad resources, let's say you're trying to get a digital ad together, you're still going to take those same elements and you can repurpose them for the print ad, which helps lower your cost and your time. There's free things like Canva that help with ad creation. And then a lot of times, like with Local IQ, we have a team that works with print advertising. They're able to look at a creative team in-house that can help with those designs. So there's a lot of different options that you have available. And again, it all just goes back to your target audience and what makes the most sense. Let's see, in-person events. And then I see, like, how are you able to do marketing attribution? Okay, so a couple of different things there. So with marketing attribution, I think that that all goes back to reporting. So if you are running on different platforms, they have reporting interfaces that let you see how you're doing. They're able to let you see what sort of clicks you're getting, impressions, delivery, and you're able to get a feel for if the ads are working. And you can also just understand, you know, am I getting more leads if you're in a high busy season, or am I visible? You know, is word of mouth increasing? And so then you can also look at opportunities like a dashboard that let you see a holistic view of your marketing. So Local IQ has Customer Center, and it's powered by an AI technology that lets you be able to take a higher view of all of the different channels and all the different types of advertising that you're doing. So you can see which is most effective and which ones are working the most, and then make some decisions based off of that information. So there's always going to be a free way where you're able to look individually. It just kind of goes back to that thing that we talked about earlier around budgeting your time and your internal resources. All right, so I think we have time for one more question. I have a couple people asking follow-ups about the budgeting tool. If you'll click yes to the poll, you'll be able to talk to an expert that has access to that tool. We have a ton of free tools that are available to sort of gauge how you're doing either on your website or your Google Ads presence on wordstream.com. So you can go there too for those free tools. All right, and so let's go ahead and we can take one more question. God, there's so many, and some of them are really specific. Again, if you have a really specific one, I would highly encourage you to click yes on the poll, because then you're able to dig down deep into the needs and the goals of your business and get a strategy laid out that's specific for you, which I think is what is going to be really important. And then someone is asking around, again, around what channels are going to be most effective. You know, should you do social versus search? I think that there's no easy answer. The answer is all of them, and when depends on your business and what your goals are at that point. So the reason I say all of them is because of what we talked about earlier with that consumer journey. People are everywhere on the internet at all times. So where you need to be is going to be based off of the behaviors of that audience and then what you're trying to accomplish at that moment. If you have a specific seasonal promotion that you're trying to do, you're going to want to amp up your presence everywhere else and be really specific about what you're saying in your messaging. But if you are in an off season, but you're still wanting to create that brand awareness, there's other channels that make more sense for that. And it really just differs based on your business. So we flew through all of that time, and I still see questions coming in, and I hate that we can't get to everybody, but what I would encourage you to do is, if you haven't already, click yes to that poll on your screen. And if you have a question or you just want to get a feel for how your marketing is doing, we are able to do that and have a free assessment of what is going on with your marketing and your business, and are you doing okay? Sometimes it just helps to talk to somebody else. So I would encourage you to do that, and then we will see you next year. Thanks. Bye.